Hello, Harsha. It is great to have you on at OpenCV University office. In fact, this may be the first time we are inviting any student. I've met students elsewhere, but this is the first time we are having a student over at OpenCV University office. So it's great to have you here.
Thanks a lot for having me here. It's an incredible opportunity for me to be able to talk to you in person. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I want to learn. I want to know about your journey, right? You from the very beginning, right? You
Right.
how you got interested in computer vision, and before this, we had chatted before a little bit, and you had mentioned about how starting from high school you got very interested
Yeah.
in computer vision and little robotics projects also those kinds of projects.
Yeah.
So tell me about your journey from the very beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
So actually, since my childhood, so I've always been fascinated about how these toys work, right? Whenever my parents buy me an electronic toy, I would play with it for a day, and the second day I would, dismantle it just to see how it works, how the inners, how it works on the inside, right? So, and when I try to put it back, I'll always not be able to bring it back to the same state it was. So that is when I got interested in building stuff, right?
Right.
So back in high school, I was trying out different fields like, sports, drawing, music,
Yeah.
all these fields. And then that didn't really like, interest me as much as building stuff interested me. So I was very curious about how I can build stuff. No, until up then, I was just destroying the toy. I was just dismantling the toys and seeing how it works. But I wanted to build something of my own, right?
Right.
So that is when I came across these sensors, that is when I came across these Arduino board. That is when came across the Arduino board, and
Yeah.
I found out that you could connect all kinds of sensors that are available, and you can build something of your own. So that's when I started digging deeper how it works and how I could build something of my own, right? So I started building projects around it. So I bought a few sensors, and I started connecting these sensors to see how it works. So one of the projects that I'm really proud of is the laser security system that I built. So this is out of, so I was watching this movie, Hollywood movie, and I saw this laser security system that was protecting
Which
the
movie was it?
I don't really recall the name
Okay.
of the movie, but yeah, I was watching this movie, and these lasers were protecting the secure, and the hero was
Oh, so
trying to.
like the crisscrossing of. Okay.
Yeah. So I was very curious. I was wondering, okay, how does this work? Is can I build this? And when I was digging deeper, I found out that there is something called LDRs, light sensitive resistors. So these the resistance value of these LDRs change when based on the light intensity that falls on the LDR. So I got super curious. I got a few LDRs, a few laser lights to see how I can
Right.
build this. And I connected on one side of the door. I add a few lasers, and on the other side I add a few LDRs. That is short. The laser light was falling on the LDR.
Right.
So I connected all these to the Arduino, and I was able to code use C++ to code to see when a person enters the room, when the the laser was disturbed and the laser falls back again. So that shows that someone has entered the room, or the
Right.
laser was hindered, right? So that's how I could I could build this. So,
Right.
and then I added a buzzer on top of that. So whenever someone enters the room, or whenever someone hinders the laser, the buzzer turns on. And also I built a small app that lets me control the system. So
Right.
I could turn on the light, turn on the lasers, turn off the lasers, and turn off the buzzer. So that's something I'm really proud about. So
Yeah.
this is something it took me a very long time to figure out. I did because I didn't really have a guide or anyone that was
Right.
guiding me through this process. This is all me figuring it out, figuring out how these sensors work, how the coding works. And
Right.
so yeah, I was stuck for
And you were
many
also
days.
in high school,
Yes, I
and
was in high
probably you
school.
were also learning C++
Right, yeah.
as you build
I
this
was
thing.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was learning Java. So I did my high school in high CSC. So
Yeah.
I had a chance of learning Java. But yeah, I could relate all the things that I learned in the school with the C++ I was learning. So
Right.
I had to learn C++ to use it for Arduino. So it really helped. Whatever I studied in school did not help me in school, but
Yeah.
it helped me with these projects.
But it's also interesting that you were working on your own projects
Yeah.
in high school, which is 12th grade.
Yeah.
Uh, Very unusual because in India, most of the people who are technically oriented would be preparing for engineering entrance exams, which consumes all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some preparing for IITs, NITs,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
But how did you decide to have this independent attitude?
Yeah, so actually, I in the initial days of my high school, I really wanted to crack JEE and get
Yeah.
into IIT. But I was wondering if I'm putting in my so much amount of time into just writing an exam. I was
Right.
wondering, is it worth it? So I talked to a few people from IIT, and I saw a lot of vlogs on YouTube
Yeah.
around how the IITs are,
Yeah.
and I was just seeing if it is something I want to do.
Right.
And then when I did a lot of research around it, I found out that that's not something I want to do. I really want to, like, build stuff. I
Right.
wasn't really like I'm not really an exam oriented person. I didn't
Right.
really want to
Right.
spend a lot of time on exams. So I actually wanted to do my bachelor's from the US. But because of COVID, I
Oh.
wasn't that actually stopped me from applying to these universities from the US.
Right.
So I was actually building more projects around what I was interested in, so I could make my profile strong.
Hmm.
And MIT is still my dream university.
Right.
So I really wanted to do my bachelor's from MIT, but because of COVID, I couldn't really
Apply.
get myself to finish the application. So
Right.
yeah, so I stick to building projects over learning, preparing for the exams. So I finished the projects, and yeah, so going back to Arduino, so I built a lot of projects around Arduino. One of the projects I built were SMS controlled home appliances. So I
Nice.
I came across this SIM 900A module, and I was wondering, okay, is there something I can do with this? I bought the module, connected with the Arduino, and I connected a few lights, and I was just playing around with it, sending SMS saying that, hey, turn on the light, and it would turn on the light, and I
Right.
hard coded these messages into the Arduino, and it
Right.
was super fun to do all these stuff. So
Right.
yeah, it was really intriguing. So but as I started exploring more in Arduino space, I saw the limitations of Arduino, and I came across this board called Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And Raspberry Pi, I was curious about what the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Curiosity is what
Right.
it drew me where I am. So yeah, so I bought the Raspberry Pi board, and I was seeing what all projects I can build around it. That is when I came across something called computer vision. I had
Yeah.
no clue what computer vision is up until then.
Right.
And back then, when I was in high school, face recognition was a huge thing. Like
Yeah.
people were talking a lot about face recognition.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, is there somewhere I can build this face? I mean, I could use the face recognition. So I came across this library
Is it
on.
for like student attendance? What was the motivation?
No, I just
Just
wanted to, just curiosity. I just wanted
okay.
to see if that's something I can pull off.
Right. Right.
So I did this on. So I initially tried it on my laptop. So I found out this open sourced code on GitHub.
Yeah.
I used that. So it didn't really involve much training. It's just collecting a few images of your face and
Right.
detecting the face. It was face recognition. So
Right.
so yeah, so I used that, and it worked really well on my laptop. So I wanted to try this on Raspberry Pi. So
Right.
that's when I moved the code from the laptop to the Raspberry Pi, and then that is when I got this idea of attendance system, and I built an attendance system of my own.
Right.
So let's say there is a camera and someone enters. Like, let's say you'd show your face you would show your face in front of the camera, and the code sitting in Raspberry Pi will automatically record that you enter the class inside the Excel. And
Right.
at the end of the day, you could download the Excel that has who has entered the class, what time you have entered the class, and what time you have left the class.
Right.
So this is something I just did out of pure curiosity, and it's just sitting there. The code is
Right.
sitting there. It's been, yeah, it's back in high school. I just built this out of curiosity, and yeah, and then I was also interested in drones. In parallelly, I was also interested in drones, and I was seeing if I can build a drone.
Yeah.
So I actually came across this course on Udemy, and that building a drone from scratch. I bought all the sensors, and I
Right.
started connecting all these sensors to the chassis and see if I can pull it off. And yeah, I managed to do that. I built a drone from scratch, but it was not very stable because I used because I built it from scratch. It was not very stable. The video coming out of it was not very stable.
Right.
But I still wanted to try if I could, integrate. So this drone that I built was an autonomous drone.
Yeah.
So you can use the remote as well to control it, or you could use the Python code. So
Right.
you would say, hey, fly up to 10 meters, and it'll fly up to 10 meters, and say south, and it'll go west.
Right.
Sorry, if you say west, it'll go west.
Right.
So if you say move 10 meters west, it'll move west. So yeah, that's something I could do with Python. So I thought, okay, if this is something I can do, then let's see if I can if I can add face recognition onto the drone and follow a person.
Right.
So I know it didn't really sound that realistic, but I really wanted to try this. So
Right.
I tried adding the face recognition on Raspberry Pi, but because the video was not very stable from the drone that I was using,
Right.
the drone which I built from scratch, so I couldn't really pull that off. But I still kept that on hold. Maybe I'll get back to that in some time. But yeah, so this is what got me interested in computer vision, and got me that's when I got to know there's something called computer vision. And
Right. Right.
I was looking I was then I found out that this is something that interests me more than what I would do with an audio, giving a camera a vision.
Right.
So I was digging deeper. I was looking around computer vision projects, what
Right.
projects I can build, what is next, what is next, what's next.
Right.
So I was trying to find projects that I could build. That's more challenging, and that is when I came across autonomous cars. And Tesla had just released their autonomous car
Right.
back then, and I was very, very curious. I was super curious. I was like, how is that working? Why can't I? Let me see if I can build something, a miniature version of that.
Right.
So that is, I was doing some research, and I found out that they use something called artificial intelligence. So they use neural networks to train these models to classify the images. And up
Right.
until then, I had no idea there is something called neural network. There's something
Right.
called CNN. So I came across this. I came across this on the internet, and I started learning about machine learning, AI. So I started
Right.
from the basics. Uh, and I was able to build. I initially I used these already existing data set to train
Mhm.
a model and see how well I can
Right.
how well I can code. So and after that I used a custom data set that's available in the internet, and I got pretty confident with that.
Right.
So then I was wondering, okay, if I could train a computer vision model that can classify images, why can't I build maybe a miniature version of this autonomous car?
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I built a small miniature version of the car,
Yeah.
and I built a track as well. So I
Right.
used black color A4 sheets and
Right.
white color tape,
Tapes or something.
to
Okay.
to replicate what a road looks like, a small one. So
Yeah.
I built that, and I also built a car. So
Yeah.
because I had some knowledge around sensors and Raspberry Pi, and also it didn't take me a long time to figure that out. So
Right.
I added the Raspberry Pi onto it, and I used a few sensors, and I also had Xbox controller lying around. So
Right.
I found this library on the internet that lets you send signals from your Xbox controller to the Raspberry Pi. So
Right.
I connected the USB dongle of the Xbox controller to the Raspberry Pi, and I started taking the started sending signals from the Xbox controller. And once that was in place, I was able to control the car with the
So, what
Xbox
was this
controller.
car based on?
Sorry.
What was the robotic car based on? You built it from scratch, or?
Yeah, I built it from scratch. So
Okay.
I found out I got this a model PCB, so PCB model on the internet,
Yeah.
and I got it printed, and I was able to
Nice.
pull that off as well. And yeah, so and I used a few motor drivers, and I used 4 motors and one motor driver, and I connected that to the Raspberry Pi, and I was able to control the car
Nice.
with the car with the uh, controller,
Yeah.
and I also added a camera to it, and I elevated the camera a little bit because if the camera is on the car, it was not able to see the roads very clearly. So
Right.
I added a wooden plank,
Yeah.
elevated the camera, and faced the camera towards the road.
Right.
And once I started driving it, so I then hit it me. Why can't I use this images from this to build a classifier
Right.
that'll help me classify road versus no road?
Right.
So that was the starting point, right? So I collected these images of roads and no roads, okay,
Right.
and I used a simple CNN model to classify these classify the images into no road versus road images.
Right.
And once I trained the model and tried to deploy it on Raspberry Pi, it wasn't working well. Like it was working, but the frames per second I was getting
Right.
was less
Oh.
than 2 frames. So it was below
Oh.
2 frames
Okay.
per second.
Then you cannot move.
Then I hit a wall, and again I went back. I did more research, and I found out there is something called Jetson Nano. Jetson Nano has GPU in it, and it lets you run these AI models optimally, the CNN models optimally on it.
Right.
So I went ahead, bought the bought the board, and redid the whole thing, redid the whole car. I removed the Raspberry Pi, added the Jetson Nano, and I changed the car to work with Jetson Nano.
Right.
Once that was in place, I tried deploying the model directly on Jetson Nano. It still didn't work because it was not optimized code. I was just
Yeah.
doing model.predict.
What was the FPS you got on Nano?
I got a FPS of around 5 to 6 when I
Right.
directly used model.predict.
Right.
And then again, I was stuck again. And again, this was back in high school, and I didn't really have someone to like guide me through this whole process. This is something I was figuring out everything. So I was reading through blogs every day. I was reading through all these answers on Stack Overflow.
Right.
And yeah, these helped me a lot to figure out. And there are a few times I was stuck with an error for 2 3 days straight, and I was
Right.
just trying to fix a small error. When I
Yeah.
think about it, I feel so dumb. I could have fixed this right now. I can fix this in a couple of seconds, but
Yeah.
it took me 2 days to figure it out.
Yeah, that's how
So
it goes. Yeah.
so it was an incredible learning curve that I
Yeah.
went through to figure things out. But yeah, I'm really proud that
Right.
I stuck to it, and I didn't give up.
Right.
So yeah, and then I found out that the model is not optimized to run on Jetson Nano, and I had to export the model to ONNX, and
Yeah.
that will give you a more optimized model for Jetson Nano. I did that,
Right.
and once I deployed it the frames per second shot up to 15 frames per second. I was really
Reasonable.
happy with that.
Yeah.
I was very happy with that. And yeah, so that was a basic classifier that I built, right? So
Yeah.
when it sees a road, it'll move straight,
Yeah.
and when the road ends, it'll just stop there. So
Right.
I really wanted to expand this and build something like curvings and all. When there's a
Right.
curve, the car would automatically turn. But I didn't really find the time, or I didn't have the skill set to build something like that.
Right.
But I was really proud of what I had built, and I
Yeah, of
just
course. Yeah. And
left
this
it.
was all in high school.
Yeah, this
That's
was
great.
all in
Yeah.
high school, and yeah, so I built that and I kept it aside. So yeah, this is what trigger the interest in computer vision for me. And yeah, from that day, from starting from then, I've been working around computer vision. All the personal projects, all the professional projects I've been working on are around computer vision. So yeah, I once I got to college, I landed an internship as a computer vision developer, and yeah, it's a
So, how
pretty
did
good
you
journey.
learn about OpenCV University?
Yeah, so recently I actually saw on LinkedIn someone had posted a certificate of them finishing the course. I was very curious if OpenCV is like I saw the logo, right? I
Right.
saw the logo, and I was very curious if OpenCV itself is teaching the course. I'm sure they are the best at it, and
Right.
they would teach it the best way possible. So I went ahead and I checked your website out, and I was very fascinated. I saw the course material. I saw that you were covering the basics of OpenCV, which I was lacking, to be honest. To be very honest, I did learn about CNN and all these stuff, but these were all it was all the top of the iceberg. I didn't really know
So
how this.
superficial.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just knew how to build a CNN, but
Yeah.
I had no clue how the CNN works and
Right.
how actually computer vision works. But I knew that I was lacking this, and I was always on a lookout for a nice course where I could learn all this.
Right.
And I did sign up for a few Udemy courses, but that didn't really form a good foundation around computer vision. I did
Right.
get a good foundation around artificial intelligence, but
Yeah.
core computer vision, right? The
Yeah.
traditional computer vision, I was always lacking behind in that. Whenever I see this Gaussian blur,
Right.
or all these pre-processing techniques that we
Yeah.
use for a CNN, right? I would see that and I'm like, okay, they're applying, I will also apply it. That is
Right.
how I was doing it, and I
Right.
had no idea how it was working.
Why
And
it was
yeah,
necessary, right?
and
Why do you need to blur before calculating the
yeah.
gradient? All those little things.
Yeah, I had no
Yeah.
clue. And I was just doing it because people were doing it and
Right.
it seemed to work. That is the
Right.
only reason I went ahead and did it. But I didn't know that I was lacking here, and I did try to read a lot of blogs.
Right.
But that, to be very honest, it didn't really help me a lot, these blogs that I read,
Yeah.
right? It did help me, for instance, how it works, but still it didn't dig deeper as much as I really wanted to, like,
Right.
get my foundation strong.
Right.
But yeah, I was always in a lookout, and I did sign up for a few courses on Udemy, and that didn't really help me a lot. It was just the same material over and over and again.
Right.
And but then I came across your course on the internet, and I went in and saw the course material. I
Right.
was super fascinated, and the way you you had the introduction video, I was super convinced after that. And I saw the course material, and I was like, okay, this is something I want to learn. So I saw
Yeah.
that you had a separate video for Gaussian blur, you had
Yeah.
a separate video for corner detection, all these small videos, right? So all these videos that you had separate, right? So I really wanted to learn all these, and that
Right.
is when I decided, okay, I'll sign up for this course and see how I can take things further. And I had seen that in your website you had CareerX as well, and
Right.
I at back then when I applied for the course, I really wanted the career boost.
Right.
Career boost back then. So I thought, okay, if I do finish up the course, the CareerX would definitely help me in
Right.
the future. So I made up my mind and went ahead and applied to it. So yeah, so that is how I
That's
landed at
awesome.
the course. Yeah.
And so, compared to other courses,
Mhm.
right? So, how would you? So there are two parts,
Right.
right? One is the content itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we pride ourselves. We say that okay, this material is for serious people,
Yeah.
right? Who want to have a career in AI,
Yeah.
right? They want to dig deep. They want to have a solid foundation,
Yeah.
right? The second thing that we really pride ourselves is in the support,
Yeah.
right? So what are your thoughts on how did you feel the content
Yeah.
as well as the support? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so starting with content is world class. So it is the best content you can find. So yeah, it gave me a deeper understanding of what I really wanted, and the support was actually incredible. I was really surprised how well the support is. So whenever I was stuck with a doubt, right? If I go up to the forum, it is either already answered, or if I shoot a question, right? Less than 24 hours, I have the answer. That is actually really very nice that you guys have built, right?
Thank
So
you.
when I'm stuck with something, I even though if I try to look up on the internet and I wouldn't find the answer, I can still go back to the forum and ask the questions. And the student forum is also very nice. There are a few instances where other students also had answered my question, which
Oh,
I was
nice.
very happy to see. And
Right.
I was really very happy. Like it felt like a community, right?
Right.
All these days I was alone figuring it out. Now if I'm stuck somewhere, I can just shoot it, and someone is readily answering me the questions. So that was a very nice thing to have during the course. And also the way you guys have built the assignments, right?
Yeah.
I mean the quizzes and the assessments, those are very nice. So usually in a course, right, whenever you finish a course, you would take up the quiz and you would get the score and you're out of there.
Yeah.
But the way you guys have built the assessments, right, whenever I write the code, and it was super challenging, to be very honest.
Right.
Without understanding the videos, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do the assessments.
Yeah.
Because these assessments actually challenged me,
Yeah.
right? So just watching the videos, like I would watch a Netflix, would never help me
Right.
finish the assessments. So yeah, it was very challenging, and it really helped me understand. So actually the first time when I watched it, I didn't really like, I was like, oh yeah, this I know, I was skipping through it, right?
Right.
When I started doing the assessments, I figured out, okay, this is where I'm lacking. I went back to the
Right.
video,
Right.
I watched it again, and then I tried to understand it better.
Yeah.
And then that really helped me finish the assessment.
Right.
And the way you guys have built the assessment, right? So whenever I submit a assessment, someone on the other side would evaluate and get back to me.
Yeah.
That's actually very incredibly helpful what you have built. Like let's say there was a CNN assignment, and I would submit the assignment, and I didn't get the accuracy that is expected. Let's say
Yeah.
the score, if to get the full score, I would need 90% accuracy, and
Yeah.
I'm stuck at 70%. When I submit the assignment, right, the person who is evaluating actually tells me how I can improve that, and
Right.
that was very helpful. Like
Right.
I'd go back to the code, change it, and then submit it again, and get the score I really wanted.
Right.
So yeah, the scores that you have built also pushed me into building better code, right?
Right.
I really wanted to get the highest score possible I could get.
Right.
So I tried my level best to do the quizzes that I could answer the quizzes. I could answer the quizzes, and I did my level best to answer the quizzes and do the assessments.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, so a lot of times, right, if you do not do that, right, people think that they understand,
Yeah.
but there are different levels of understanding, right? If you see a video, you may understand something,
Yeah.
but then somebody tests you, there
That's
is
when
a
you'll know
different
where you're
level.
like.
You uncover things that you might have missed in the video, because it's very difficult to emphasize everything
Yeah.
in video or even in text,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in when you're asking questions, right, you
Mhm.
can see whether that person got that point or not by
Yeah.
asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we put in a lot of effort in designing those, and even the projects, right? We selected the projects so that they are interesting. They are not like boring, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wonderful
we put
projects.
in a lot of effort
Yeah.
effort there. Now, uh, you were completely dedicated, right? You
Yeah.
finished multiple courses within a short period of time. You know, tell me a little bit about it. How much effort were you putting in,
Yeah.
and how many courses were you able to complete?
Sure. Okay, sure. So actually, I saw it on your website that if I managed to finish under these course, if I
100-day
managed to
challenge.
100 days challenge. So
Yeah,
I came across the 100-day challenge on your website, and for every course I could complete in 100 days, I would get a cashback of $100,
$100. Yeah,
and also an opportunity to work at OpenCV.
yeah,
So that is what actually, boosted me into finishing it in 100 days.
yeah.
And also the cashback is a really nice thing, that's
Right,
a really nice add-on that pushed me into finishing it as soon as I possibly can. So I managed to finish three courses completely in the span of 100 days, and I was parallelly finishing the fourth course as well. I had already finished 70% of it, but in the meantime, by the time I finished the 100 days challenge, I actually landed a consultancy gig, and I had to split my time between
instead of the
fin
$100, you're going to make much more money. So
but thanks to your course, I was
yeah,
able to crack the interview because of the course. So I was really surprised, right, when I was interviewed for this consultancy gig. So the questions that was asked there, it was the exact same assignments I had worked on the course, and whenever the question was short, I was like, oh damn, I had worked on this assessment in the OpenCV course, and
maybe they took our courses as well, and they are asking the same questions,
probably.
right?
Yeah, so I was very happy, and I was able to crack the interview, and thanks to the course. And I definitely wouldn't have able to solve the problems that were asked to me at the interview if I
Yeah,
hadn't signed up I would have solved it, but not in a not in
right.
the time I was able to solve it. So yeah, so the course and the timing was all perfect. By the time I could finish the assessment, right, by the time I could finish the courses, I got this opportunity, and I was
And you
able to
got this
crack it.
consulting gig
Yeah.
before you graduated, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
how this was your third year? Which year you
So
did?
it was fourth year. I had
Okay,
just finished my final exam,
okay,
and I hadn't gotten my degree.
yeah,
And I was already working as an intern. So
yeah,
I was already working as a computer vision at
yeah.
a drone based company, and I was building them computer vision solutions for the drones. So I was
Right.
building them SaaS solutions for the drones. So yeah, so I was doing all these in parallel, right? So I had my internship course, as well as preparing for the interview. All these three things were in parallel, and I was able to pull off all these in 100 days.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, so
So okay, so you landed a consulting gig before you graduated, and
correct.
you were working part time while working on your coursework as well.
Yes, yes,
That's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. So for people who want to start a career in AI and
Mhm.
computer vision,
Okay.
uh, what is your recommendation? What are your thoughts?
Okay. So I would say I'm just talking out of
Yeah,
experience here. So all the projects, all the gigs that I landed up until now, right?
Yeah.
All the internships that I had worked with. So all these actually I got it through the projects I built,
Yeah.
right? I was able to express how I built these projects, and they were really fascinated how I was able to pull this off,
Right.
right? So I was able to convince them that I can build stuff,
Yeah.
right? So even though I'm not good at DSA, I never got a chance to get to DSA because that's not something I enjoy. That's not something I enjoy. I did try DSA because
Yeah.
I wanted to crack these interviews, right?
Yeah.
Big interviews, but I didn't really enjoy it because there was already a solution to it, right? I just had to remember the solution.
Right.
That's not something I enjoy. I
Yeah.
want to build something new. So
Yeah.
I didn't take the traditional route. I started building projects, and I was playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
I was playing the wrong game. Just because I started in high school, I had a leverage here. But if I had started in college, starting building these projects in college, then it would have taken me a longer time to get the gigs I got. I mean,
Right.
it would have taken me longer after my college to land these gigs because these projects are something that help me get
Right.
these gigs, right? So I would say work on projects. So these projects are the only thing that helped me.
No, that is
So
true. So, in computer vision and AI, it is very important that you demonstrate skills, right?
yeah,
Nobody cares about years of experience. Nobody cares about anything.
yeah,
Like Karpathy, right?
yeah,
Karpathy was the director of AI at
mhm,
Tesla
yeah.
for 5 years, and he was hired by Elon Musk 1 year after he graduated,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
Just 1 year after he
Okay.
graduated, right? And that's not because he has years of experience,
Yeah.
right? But he's one of the best AI engineers in the world,
Yeah.
and that is why Elon Musk himself hired him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what the industry is about, right? If you
Yeah.
demonstrate your skills,
Hmm.
then you will get a job, you will get good opportunities, and if you do not, then you could be one of the best in the world, but nobody would know, right? You
Yeah.
have to show the skills,
Yeah.
and it's not it's not just about reading a lot of stuff, and just you have to build stuff,
Yeah.
right? Building is very important,
Yeah.
right? So now what are your plans forward? What are you looking forward to? What are you I mean, I know that you're already
Yeah.
you have a consulting gig,
Yeah.
and but moving forward, what are you looking at? What are you reading up on?
Yeah, so I actually, up until now, with the university, with the OpenCV University course, I got my computer vision foundation really strong,
Yeah.
and I'm really confident with it right now. And now moving forward, I want to move into Gen AI side of computer vision, right? So,
Nice.
it is really fascinating. When you use all these tools, right, like stable diffusion and all, when you could just give a prompt and that will generate an image, and
Right.
that's very fascinating. I am very curious about how it works on the back end, right?
Right.
So I wasn't really I didn't I did come across these couple of months ago, but I didn't really wanted to get into it right off the bat because I knew that I still wanted my foundation strong, right? Now
Right.
that I have my foundation strong, I'd like to play around
Right.
different things. So I can confidently build AI solutions with computer vision, but the deep learning
Yeah.
computer vision solutions. But I'd love to explore the Gen AI side as well.
Right.
So I would want to see how I can use this computer vision in Gen AI, and a great start would be the course that I had signed up to.
Right. Right.
So I still have the Gen AI with computer vision course pending
Yeah.
in the master class. I will start with that. That'll be the best starting point for me. And once
That's
I
great.
start there, I will start again. I'll start building projects and see how I can build something with
Right.
it.
And we can work on I'll suggest some interesting projects
Yeah,
to
that'll
you,
be wonderful.
right? And
Yeah,
after this thing is over, I'll also show you some of the projects that we have done,
yeah,
so you get some inspiration from there as well,
yeah. That'll be
right?
wonderful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was great talking to you, and thanks for sharing all the whole journey you have. And it's really interesting. I really like talking to people who take this initiative, right, and build stuff.
yeah,
And you have been doing this since high school, so
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. Thanks a lot for having me here. It is an amazing opportunity to be able to talk to you in person. Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.